Hello, in this video I would like to introduce BGSpheres to you, which is a Blender geometry nodes package inspired by ZSpheres. You can download this Blender asset for free from the link in the description box below. I'm using this package during blockout and concept creation process, which is a step before sculpting. It might be better if I show you a quick workflow of how I use it, then if you were interested, you can watch the rest of the video. So let's create a character, a human character. Okay, that was a quick demonstration of how to create a base model character including colors using this asset. Alright, after opening the blend file, you will notice there are 3 modifiers in the stack. To keep it simple, let's just focus on BGSpheres geometry nodes modifier. BGSpheres will read custom attributes and then generates the number of spheres needed. And if I disable modifier, you will see how it looks like. This mesh consists of an edge with 2 vertices. For instance, you can create this mesh by adding a plane object and merge the vertices into one and extrude another vertex. Okay, let's enable the modifier. We can change the global properties related to sphere resolution, like number of segments, rings, or radius. And position length affects the density of the spheres that's generated by the modifier. This is related to density in the attributes panel. Vertex attributes references is linked to attributes, and I will explain it in the next few minutes of how to set up BGSpheres modifier from scratch section. Next, in the visual panel, we have material, a basic material that uses attribute color as input to the base color in BSDF. To see the color, you need to switch to material display mode because other modes will not show the colors when you're using these geonodes. Finally, we have a merge by distance parameter that welds vertices within a specific range. This is similar to Blender's native weld modifier. I suggest, if you like to use this option, apply it at the end of the process and not during editing, because this is a costly calculation for the software. Okay, here we have 4 custom attributes that you can create them manually or by using GeoNodes tool. These attributes are stored in each vertex, like scale or color, and then in the edit mode you can change their value by selecting mesh from the menu and then click on set attributes. I have assigned a custom shortcut in my Blender, which is Ctrl W, to speed up the process. Instead of opening the menu and click on set attribute, I simply press Ctrl W. If you like so, you need to assign your own custom shortcuts in your Blender software. To change different attributes, you need to select the corresponding item in the list and then press Ctrl W. This is a bridge between mesh and modifier. Now let's talk about Geometry Nodes tool. Because I marked and categorized them as assets, you can see BGSpheres in the menu. First one will be explained in the Setup from Scratch section, but these 3 items are related to scale, rotation, and density in the attributes panel and allow us to update the scale, rotation, and density values according to the current values. Let's look at an example. If I use Ctrl W, same value is assigned to the selection. But if I use Scale Offset tool, it will scale on top of the current scales, kind of accumulative. There's a dialog box in the corner, and if you are using a different attribute name, this name must be the same as the attribute name in the panel. Same goes for density. Let's take another look. When selecting a vertex, make sure its color is white, otherwise the data will be red from the previously active selection. Alright, there is one more tool that you can use in the sculpt mode, but first you need to apply the BGSpheres modifier and then switch to the sculpt mode. This tool generates facets based on edge branches. You can see multiple facets are generated, and let's remesh it too, and then you can see how it looks like. If you like to see what kind of object is generated by this modifier, let's check it together in the edit mode. Separated by loose part, and now you see in this case there are 29 spheres or objects, which I don't think would be useful to use them in the edit mode. So far we have seen how BGSpheres modifier works. If you check the file, you will notice that there are two more modifiers, BGSpheres Mirror and Remesh. Let's see what the mirror does. We can mirror it along the XYZ axis like Blender's native mirror modifier. But what difference could it make? Because we might be using custom rotations, also known as tilt, Blender's native mirror modifier can't work in this case. I'm scaling this vertex to show you how it rotates. Let's duplicate this object to assign Blender's mirror modifier. And now you can compare the difference. This happens because rotation is calculated at geometry nodes and there is no connection between custom attributes and native mirror and geo nodes. But if we order the native mirror to the end of the stack, it works as expected. But if you need mirror modifier on the top of this stack, for instance mixing it with an armature modifier, you should use BGSpheres mirror modifier. Let's check Remesh. Again, Blender has a native Remesh modifier, but the issue is it doesn't preserve color attributes. If you like to preserve color attributes, you can use BGSpheres Remesh modifier. The result is not perfect, but you can achieve a better result by adjusting some of these parameters. Speaking of color attributes, it's interesting to know that if you apply geometry nodes modifier, you can see the colors in the studio display mode and not just in material mode. Alright, let's create from scratch, and let me create a new layout like when you open Blender in the startup. And delete the object. And now I create a plane. Split the screen and switch to properties. Reorder attributes and add geometry nodes in the modifier and select BGSpheres. We don't need faces, so I press X and delete only faces. And when I'm in the edit mode, I select BGS initialization, and you can see all the custom attributes are generated for us. Before linking the attributes with geometry nodes, I would like to show you how it looks like by changing them. And as you see, these are uniform data, so it's not per each vertex, it's a global variable. And custom attributes doesn't have effect because it's not linked. But now let's link them together. Now everything is ready, but let's check the material and how to assign it. And as you see, I'm using a basic principled BSDF, and just I need to add input attributes BGS color and assign it to be base color. And now the material is made. Perfect. We have reached the last section where we can see a few more things, including an experimental method in BGSpheres called TubeSpheres. When TubeSpheres method is selected, instead of a large number of spheres, BGSpheres modifier generates curves with profiles and two spheres at the endpoints. This method is experimental and not polished, but I found few uses in my personal projects. That's why I'm sharing it with you. And finally, there are a few templates. A male character with superhero proportions, and for posing there is an armature in the stack, but please notice we are using bone envelopes instead of vertex groups or vertex weights. It means it is not generated in a common way. You can change the bone influence in the bone panel. We are using bone envelopes which work well with the edges that we have. You can see the number of vertices and edges that this character is made of. And of course, by disabling bone envelopes, rigging won't work anymore. I'm trying to make a quick pose here. Next, we have a female character, a superhero in proportions. And the dog may be a Doberman. For the tail, I have used tube spheres, which represents a smooth geometry. If you would like to download this free asset, please check out the link in the description. And if you decide to support me, I would be very grateful. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.